What's happening, world? I'm your host, the Wizard of Woz, Benji Wozniak, and today we have our special guest, my wife, Kimberly Wozniak, helping me with our review of the Disney restaurants we ate at in our last trip.
Hey, everyone.
She's going to be going over a little bit of how to do the Disney dining plan, and then we'll dive right into the restaurants we ate at and what we thought of what we ate.
Okay, everyone. So the Disney dining plan, Disney has a couple levels of dining plans that you can purchase in addition to your trip. Whether you do it or not is completely a personal decision. Some people love it. Some people don't find it necessary. Basically, the way it works is depending on the level of plan you get a certain amount of credits each day towards meals. Every meal plan comes with, in addition to the meals that you get, every meal plan also comes with 2 snacks per day. So if, for example, you are on what they call the quick service plan, you get 2 quick service meals a day plus 2 snacks. You can use all of your quick service entitlements in one day if you want, or you can space them out to a day the way it's intended. You don't have to use a specific amount for every day. So just for the purposes of this podcast, I'm not going to get into big details on each dining plan, but what I do want to explain is there are at Disney 3 levels of dining restaurants that you can dine at. They break them down by quick service, table service, and signature. So basically the way it works is a quick service restaurant at Disney is a counter service. Like you would walk up to the counter, order your food, and pick it up on the counter. There's a couple of counter service that will bring you your food, but for the purposes of this podcast, you order at the counter. It's like going to McDonald's, although the food is much better. You go up to the counter, you order your food, and you take it with you to find a table. Then they have a regular table service restaurant, which is a restaurant that you would go to. Someone shows you to a seat, you sit down, you have a server that takes your order, brings you your food, just like if you were going to a restaurant wherever you live. Then they have what they call signature restaurants. Now, a signature restaurant is a table service restaurant that is pricier than a regular table service. It's a higher quality of food, a higher level of service, and the price tag that comes with that. Disney has quite a few signature restaurants on property. They tend to have, if they are in a resort, they tend to have a little higher level of dress code. Disney isn't picky about what you wear generally, but they are definitely a higher end type of restaurant. Now, if you're going to use your dining plan for a signature restaurant, it is going to cost you 2 meal credits as opposed to 1 for a regular table service restaurant. So on our trip, we had gotten the deluxe dining plan, which entitles you, it's the highest level you can buy in a package. Apparently there are higher levels. I don't know what they could possibly be because we ate a lot of food. But basically you get 3 meals a day. They can be either table service or quick service, 2 snacks. You also get, with every level of dining plan, you also get a refillable mug that you can refill at your resort or any other resort if you so choose. They are also now upgrading the refillable mugs. I think for a $10 fee, you can upgrade it to, it's a plastic mug, you can upgrade it to a vacuum sealed stainless steel tumbler, which we haven't done yet, but it is an option. So anyway, what we did, we knew that eating 3 meals a day in Disney, you can do it. It would be really difficult, and you would spend your entire day going from restaurant to restaurant, and you're not going to see anything else. So what we did was we tended to book breakfasts and late dinners. So we would eat in the morning and then spend the day in the parks, and if we got hungry, we would use a snack credit, get something like that, and then we would book really nice restaurants for dinner late at night. So that's what we did. So on our first night, we ate at the Yachtsman Steakhouse. It is at the Yacht Club Resort at Disney World. It is a signature restaurant, and I think that this was probably my favorite meal that we ate. It was the first night, and I still think it was definitely in my top 3. So for an appetizer, I got the ahi tuna tartare. I will usually order tuna tartare anywhere that has it. This was the best I've ever eaten. The menu description is ahi tuna tartare with a poke vinaigrette, white gazpacho, and kohlrabi. It was outstanding. The white gazpacho was like a foamy addition, and it really added a nice texture. The flavors in this were just amazing. I would get this every time I go. Ben got the French onion soup, which our server told us takes them 2 days to make, and he raved over it.
Yeah, I gotta say that was absolutely delicious. You could tell the onions soaked for a long time in the broth. It was just so good. The cheese was melted perfect, and I highly recommend it if you get a chance to eat it. It was just phenomenal, and the whole environment. I mean, it was just a really nice restaurant. Everybody there was really professional, treated us great. Definitely a place you should try.
Okay, so one of the other things I want to do is I want to give you an idea of, so because we had already purchased the dining plan, we didn't pay out of pocket. All we paid out of pocket for was if we got an extra side dish or something, and any extra alcohol on top of your plan. So the deluxe plan that we were on allowed you to order an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert, and a drink. And the drink can be either alcoholic or non-alcoholic. And they were pretty lenient with how expensive that drink could be. Ben tends to just drink white wine, and they pretty much allowed him to go up to somewhere in the area of low $20, I think, when we were there. So you can get a really nice glass of wine for that price. So aside from giving you the descriptions, I just want to give you an idea of what this would cost without the dining plan if you wanted to go and pay out of pocket, which many people do. So the tuna tartare was $18, and when I tell you it was worth every penny, it was worth every penny. The French onion soup, by the way, had a sourdough crouton, Gruyere cheese, and an onion broth, and that was $14.
Worth it.
So then for our entrees, there are several you can pick from. Like I said, this is a steakhouse, so your choices lean towards steak. But they do have some other entrees. They have some seafood, and I think there's a pork dish and a chicken dish. But for the most part, if you're going here, get the steak. So I got the 14-ounce prime rib. It came with horseradish cream and au jus, and for my side, I got broccolini because I felt like with all this food we were eating, I needed a vegetable. The broccolini was very good. It's broccolini. I mean, there's not a lot you can do to it. I like it, so it was delicious to me. My prime rib was absolutely perfect. Perfectly cooked. The au jus was amazing. The horseradish cream was outstanding. Had we paid out of pocket, this would have been, the price tag on this was $52. It was worth it. It was so good. Ben got the 8-ounce Black Angus filet mignon. It came with cognac truffle butter, and for his side, he got a sweet potato casserole. I'm trying to find a description, if I can find a description. I don't think they give one. But he raved about this and kept trying to get me to try some, and I was pretty in love with my prime rib, so I declined, but he actually absolutely loved it. And this was also $52. What'd you think?
Okay, so they cooked the steak perfect. I like my steak medium rare to medium, and they did a great job. And the sweet potato casserole was just so good. I love sweet potatoes as is, so this is just something that was awesome for me. And I had like a marshmallow on top, like melted, and it was just so sweet and yummy.
So for our dessert, we had not anticipated the amount of food that they were going to be throwing at us at Yachtsman.
No.
And we had already spent a good portion of the day at the Food and Wine Festival, eating our way through there. So by the time dessert came, we literally couldn't even look at it. And they very nicely boxed up our desserts, and they went into our fridge at the hotel.
Yep.
And that is where they stayed. I mean, we didn't really touch them after that. I have to say, I can't tell you, but my guess would be that given the level of the food that we ate at this restaurant, the actual food, it would have been outstanding. So, and the desserts ranged in price from $9 to $12. They looked amazing, what we ordered. I think I got the creme brulee, and I don't even know what you got.
I think I got the cheesecake.
Oh, yeah. I don't even think that's on the menu. I think that was like a specialty item. I will say the service at the Yachtsman was amazing. The night that we went, there was a Patriots game. Our waitress was from the Boston area, and we had our phones out so we could check on the score, and she kept swinging by the table to see what the score was. So that was kind of fun, and she was very, very good, very attentive, but wasn't in our faces the entire meal either. So I would say overall, the Yachtsman probably it's definitely in my top 3. I don't know that it was my favorite. It's a toss-up between that and another, but it was excellent.
It was very good.
Okay, so the next morning, after we had time to actually, digest all this food, one of the things we did on this trip was we went to some character meals. We're taking my granddaughter to Disney, and I wanted to see if there were character meals that were better than others. It's been a lot of years since there's been a character meal in the offing with my family. So we did a relatively new experience. It is the Bon Voyage breakfast at Trattoria Al Forno. Trattoria Al Forno is in the boardwalk area right near Epcot. It's an Italian restaurant in the evening, but in the morning they do a character breakfast with Rapunzel and Flynn Rider and Princess Ariel and Prince Eric. So basically what it is it's on your dining plan, it's one table service credit. If you order and pay out of pocket, it is $44. Now, what we didn't know at the time, which I've since found out, and it wouldn't have mattered to us, but it is also all you care to enjoy. So whatever you order, if you enjoy that, they will bring you more. Whatever you want, they will bring you more of. So the first thing they do is they bring you out this grouping of pastries. But they do it if you've seen Rapunzel, Tangled, the movie Tangled with Rapunzel, you know that there is a frying pan in the movie that she uses to defend herself quite a lot. And they bring you your pastries in this frying pan, and they're shaped like seashells and starfish, and on top of that, they were very good. I'm not generally a pastry person. I just don't usually enjoy them, but there was a chocolate twist that was amazing on this platter.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the they had one that looked like, I think it was like a star, and it was very good. I have to say it was one of my favorites. And like you said, the chocolate twist was just so creamy and chocolatey. It was absolutely like delicious. A must if you go there.
Okay, so for our entree, now generally we tried to pick different entrees so we could try different things. But for this one of the things that I didn't know when I got there was there are a lot of things on this list, and one of the ingredients in them is Sunday gravy. Now, when you say Sunday gravy to me, I think a sausage gravy, like biscuits and gravy and that kind of thing. What they meant, being an Italian restaurant, was a tomato gravy, a red gravy. So it kind of, I don't love red gravy, so it kind of put a damper on what I was going to order. So anyway, what I ended up getting, and Ben ended up getting the same thing, is an entree. It's called Ursula's Cauldron, after the Sea Witch. And it was breakfast potatoes with fennel sausage, fondue cheese, and crispy onions. It was amazing. It was super filling. Like I said, we never would have gotten more of this only because it was so filling. But you could have had you wanted to. Again, the entire experience was $44. It was very, very good. It was just a whole bunch of different textures. The cheese was on the salt, had the salty to it, but then the potatoes kind of cut that back, and it was very, very good. There was peppers and onions and scallions and everything in it, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, I agree. It blended real well together, and the taste was phenomenal. And like my wife said, a lot of things confused me because it was a red sauce, a tomato sauce, and for breakfast, that's not something I really would want. I mean, it's not my style. A sausage gravy would have been perfect for me. I would have been like, yes, with biscuits, that would have been great. But we got the cauldron, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. Got to say, it was probably one of the better things I had for breakfast.
The other thing I want to say is just Disney is very accommodating. They're very accommodating with food allergies. They're very accommodating with food preferences. And we could have ordered anything off the menu and just had them leave the red gravy off. And that would have been fine. But we were trying to kind of eat things the way they were intended to be eaten, which is why we didn't do that. So it was a very heavy breakfast, and I don't think we ate a ton of things the rest of the day.
No.
Okay, so one other thing I want to say about the Bon Voyage breakfast is one of the reasons we, like I said, did character breakfasts is to kind of scope them out for our next trip. The character interaction at Trattoria Al Forno was amazing. The characters were super interactive, and sometimes you don't get the full effect when you're just two adults at Disney, and they don't always interact with you the way, and I'm not saying they should, but they don't always interact with you the way they would interact with a child. But it was very good. There are things you can ask Flynn Rider to show you what's in his satchel. That's super entertaining. When he opens a satchel, he has the crown that he got during the battle. So it's very interactive. They talk to you. They stay in character. It's very, very cute. We kind of watched them with the table next to us that had a couple of small children. The children were super excited, and the characters were just amazing. And they kind of bring them out one at a time so that they can kind of make the rounds, and there's one in each section of the room at all times. So they're kind of just milling around, and they do go table by table, and it was very, very good.
Yeah, and at one point they actually did like a conga line with the kids where they could like get up and dance with Ariel, I think it was. It was really cute.
So we didn't eat a whole lot the rest of the day. We kind of snapped our way through Hollywood Studios. But we had a reservation that night at the Hollywood Brown Derby. I have always wanted off of the original Hollywood Brown Derby out in California, which no longer exists. It has much of the same menu items, the Cobb salad, the grapefruit cake, and it's a signature restaurant. And I have to say that the food was excellent. However, we found this restaurant to be extraordinarily loud. Loud to the point where it was difficult to carry on a conversation. And I don't know if that's just the acoustics of the building, the way it was built, or there were just an abnormal amount of very loud people there. There were a lot of children, more so than any other signature restaurant that we ate at. You generally don't find a lot of kids at the signatures, which isn't to say they're not allowed. They absolutely are. People generally don't, when they go to a restaurant like this, they generally want to have a meal they can enjoy without having to figure out what their kids are going to eat. However, the food was excellent. Like I said, everywhere we go, if they have it on the menu, I always get the ahi tuna tartare, which I got again. So this was ahi tuna with wakame. Don't ask me what that is. I have no idea, but whatever it was, I'm guessing it's some sort of a radish because that's what it looked like. Mango, avocado, chili, and a chili garlic aioli. It was good. It wasn't as good as the Yatzman's, but it was a very different flavor profile than the Yatzman, and I think I just preferred the Yatzman one. But it was very good. I ate it all, so that's something. Ben got, and I don't think it's currently on the menu because they do change. A lot of menu items at Disney do change seasonally. But Ben got the roasted tomato soup with fried mozzarella in it. And I am not a tomato soup fan. I don't like tomatoes generally. He loved it.
Yeah, it was really rich and creamy, and the mozzarella, like inside the soup, was, an added bonus, and it was very tasty. I mean, I'm sad that it's not on there right now for other people to enjoy, but like she said, it's probably seasonal, and we'll be back.
So for the appetizers, the tuna was $16, and the tomato soup was $12. I got, for my entree, I really try when we go out, a lot of times when we go out for dinner, I order seafood only because nobody in my house likes it. I don't make it very often at home, and I like to be able to eat it. So usually when we go out for dinner, that's what I order. However, one of the things I was dying to try, having looked at the menu previously, was they have duck breast on the menu. I don't think I've ever made that. I've eaten it before and enjoyed it, but I've never made it. So that's what I decided to get. I got the duck breast. And so the description with it is duck breast with sweet potato silk, butter braised bok choy, pomegranate barbecue sauce, and pomegranate seeds. And there were also grilled peaches with it. It was outstanding. The duck was cooked perfectly. It was seasoned phenomenal. That barbecue sauce was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I literally ate every bite of this. It was $38. I would have paid well more than that for this quality of dish. Ben, as per his usual, got the filet. The filet came with a saffron potato mash, seasonal vegetables, green peppercorn reduction, and sun-dried tomato ketchup, which was also very, very good. I did try the ketchup, and it was really good. But how did you like your steak?
Well, I just have to say that the steak was cooked, again, like when you ask for something medium rare, the cooks at Disney are very, very good when it comes to this. They get it spot on, so it was perfect for me. And it was like the bed was like a creamy mash, and it was really good. The ketchup, little sauce that went with the filet.
Sun-dried tomato ketchup.
Yeah, so good. And like I said, my wife had some, so she knows. But it was worth it. And unfortunately, like she said, it was really, really loud in there. So like trying to carry on a conversation was hard. But other than that, I definitely recommend it. I mean, the theming was incredible, and it was just a good time.
The food was very good. Our server was excellent. Knew the menu, but it was really loud. I'm not sure. I mean, I'd like to go back, but I think maybe if I went back, I would do like an early lunch or a late lunch, somewhere between like peak times, and see if maybe I enjoy it more, because it was really loud. So the char grilled filet of beef was $49. Now for dessert, I got the Hollywood Brown Derby's famous grapefruit cake. So the grapefruit cake is famous because the story goes that at the original Hollywood Brown Derby, back in the heyday of, old-time movie stars and when studios were super powerful, the Hollywood Brown Derby, the owner noticed that they weren't selling as many desserts, and in particular, they weren't selling them to women. And he, after a little research, discovered that the reason that this was happening was because women were perpetually on a diet in Hollywood. Everybody wanted to be thin. So the story goes that the big diet at the time was the grapefruit diet. And he instructed his chef to come up with a grapefruit-based dessert that women would order. So the chef came up with a grapefruit cake, and it worked, and they ordered it. So I had never tried it. I've always been curious. I do love grapefruit, so let me say that. But I was a little worried as to how grapefruit would pair in a cake. It's a very strong flavor, obviously. But I'll tell you, this was probably one of my favorite desserts that I ate. The grapefruit flavor wasn't overpowering. It was very mild. The cake was a vanilla cake. It was delicious. It's layered. It had, it was like a sponge cake. It had grapefruit syrup with it. But again, nothing was overpowering. So the description is vanilla sponge cake with grapefruit syrup, grapefruit cheesecake, and grapefruit jam. I know it sounds like a lot of grapefruit, but it really wasn't. It wasn't in-your-face grapefruit. That was $13. Ben actually tried it.
It was extremely moist and absolutely delicious.
And he's not a grapefruit person.
No.
So there's that testament. So Ben got the chocolate mousse cake. That was $12. It's dark chocolate sponge cake, dark chocolate mousse, chocolate sauce, and Amarena black cherries. Now, before he tells you how he liked this, I will say that the only taste of this I got was I wanted to know what an Amarena black cherry tasted like. And I now have 3 jars in my pantry because they're outstanding.
They are delicious.
So what did you think of the rest of it?
It's chocolate. I mean, if anybody that knows me personally knows that I'm the chocolate man in this relationship. Anything chocolate, I'm going to order. It's what I do. And this was really good. It was a very creamy chocolate cake, and the cherries were just ridiculously good with it. It was one of my favorite desserts, actually.
Okay, so that was Hollywood Brown Derby. It is a signature 2-credit restaurant. So the next day, one of the few lunches we did while at Disney was we did a very early lunch. And by early, I mean, I think our reservation was like 11:05 in the morning. So obviously we didn't do breakfast, but we did an early lunch at Sanaa. Sanaa is a 1-table credit service restaurant, and it's at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. So it's a little bit harder to get to because it's not in a park. I highly recommend you make this trip.
Love it.
Sanaa is probably, even with all of the signatures we did, probably in my top 3 of restaurants that we did while we were there. It was fantastic. It is now, if you're not an adventurous eater, this is not the place for you. It is a more adventurous menu than you generally find at Disney. Disney tends to have very generic menus. They don't take a lot of risks with regards to flavors and textures. This is very different. This is very African and West Indian influenced, and it was outstanding. So we started with, and Ben was quite looking forward to, the Indian-style bread service. So I know this sounds really a little boring and ordinary. Trust me when I tell you it is not. So they bring you, for $18, you get a choice of 5 breads in nine accompaniments. The breads you get are a traditional naan bread, a garlic ginger naan bread, a spiced naan, an onion kulcha, which is fairly similar to a naan bread, and a paneer paratha. I'm not even sure. They all looked fairly similar, but the taste profile was very different. With that, you get 9 spreads or sauces. You get a cucumber raita, which was not spicy. You get a roasted red pepper hummus. You get mango chutney, a tomato date jam, a tamarind chutney, coriander chutney, garlic pickle, red chili sambal, and a spicy jalapeno lime pickle. And when I tell you this was the best part of any meal we ate, just trying the different spreads and sauces with the different breads and seeing what went better with what. You could have, and actually the table next to us did, they came in, they ordered 2 bread services for the 4 of them, and that was their meal. And you could easily make a meal out of this. Like, I really tried not to eat a ton of this because you could have eaten all of this and nothing else. There was that much of it. Again, that was $18. Ben quite enjoyed it because several of the offerings are very, very spicy.
Yeah, the waitress or waiter will come over and tell you like the degree of hot for each sauce, and they actually put it in order from like the mildest to the hottest. And I, of course, I'm a spicy person, so I love the hot sauce, and I thought it was phenomenal. Like my wife said, putting on each different piece and trying it, like the different texture and flavor on each one was just really fun. And for me, it's one of my favorite things to go there and try the bread service because it's really, really good, but it can be a full meal if you really like indulge in it.
Okay, so that was only his appetizer. So I then had an appetizer to order. So I went with, and I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm probably going to butcher the name of everything we ate. But I got it called a Boer Wars and spiced egg. It's a traditional South African sausage, curry spiced eggs, and Cape Malay onions. It was a very, very different flavor profile than I'm used to. It was outstanding. I was surprised that I liked it as much as I did because I had leaned towards getting, they also have samosas on the menu, which I do like. And I had leaned towards getting those and changed my mind at the last minute and went with the sausage and spice eggs. And I'm glad I did. It was $11. It was worth it. It was so good. And actually, it was a big enough portion that I didn't dare finish it because we still had a meal and a dessert to eat. I don't know. Did you try? I don't remember if you tried it.
Yeah, you let me try a little bit, and like it was really good. I was shocked because I didn't. The description kind of threw me off, and I was like, I don't know if I want to try this. It was like a breakfasty thing for me, but it actually really wasn't. It was very tasty.
Okay, so we both decided to get what they call the Pote G inspired meal. Basically, what it is so on the menu it says choose one from the journey. We were allowed, and I don't know if that was because we had the deluxe plan or not, but we were allowed to choose 2 from the journey. So your choices for the journey were Goan seafood curry, butter chicken, braised beef, spicy Durban shrimp, or paneer tikka. I got the seafood curry with mine, and Ben got the butter chicken and the braised beef.
Yep.
So then, because I had only picked one, I ordered 2 from the Harvest. And the Harvest, you could get aloo masala, chickpea wit, lentil dal, or cilantro coconut vegetables. I chose the cilantro coconut vegetables and the chickpea wit, which was very good. And what did you pick with yours? I think you also got the coconut cilantro vegetables with yours. And both of these also come with a basmati rice. So the way they bring it to you is it's on a square plate, and it's in 4 bowls on that square plate. And you can mix it however you want to mix it. This was fantastic.
Mix it.
It was so good. Nothing was overly hot and spicy.
No.
It was very, very good. It was very tasty. It is $28, which for the amount of food they gave you was more than reasonable. Very, very good.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, mix it because there's so much flavor. I mean, I got the beef and the chicken and with the rice and the coconut vegetables and just the ensemble was just so delicious. If you mix different things together, it's a must try.
Okay, so let's move on to dessert. So the desserts at Sanaa are super creative, and they're not things you're going to find on any other menu. You're not going to find creme brulee, and you're not going to find cheesecake and things like that. What they do have is, so I got, it's called a caramel Nadizi. It's banana financier with caramelized milk chocolate caramel, hazelnut crunch, banana white chocolate chantilly, and ginger raspberries. Outstanding. It had plantain chips on the top. It was really good, like a really nice texture profile, a really good mix of flavors. The ginger raspberries were super different, but they really paired well with this dessert. I'm not going to even ask Ben what he thought because he didn't try mine because he was obsessed with his. But it was only $8, which is really on the low end for a dessert at a table service restaurant. I mean, you could pay $8 at a cart for a snack in any of the parks.
And we have.
And we have. So Ben ordered the Spice Trade candy bar, also $8. It was coconut, apricot, caramel, pistachio, cashew bar, coated with milk chocolate, topped with a chai cream, pistachio crumbs, and apricot gelée. Now, I did not try this, but presentation-wise, this was stunning. It was just absolutely beautiful. It had, when they say apricot gelée, what it was like apricot bobas. So good. All I stole was a boba. I couldn't get near anything else. He was going to stab me with his fork.
Well, there's a story behind this. My wife, she goes on YouTube and watches different videos about different restaurants to get an idea of what we want to do. And a year ago, she had showed me this candy bar. And I was like, it's a candy bar. And then I started looking at all the ingredients and just like the different style. And I was like, you know what? That looks absolutely phenomenal. So it was on my I have to do this, I have to have this in my life list. And we actually got to try it this time, and I was very happy with it. It was delicious. The blends of different flavors, the coconut was, tasty, so good.
Okay, so our next restaurant that we went to is my favorite in-park restaurant. It's at Animal Kingdom. It's called Tiffin's. It is a signature restaurant, 2 credits on the dining plan. I cannot sell this restaurant enough. Again, it's similar to Sanaa. The flavor profile might be a little bit different, although I think it's a little less adventurous than Sanaa, but still enough that you feel you're getting something that you wouldn't usually get anywhere else.
Yeah, I agree. We've eaten here twice. Like, this is our second time being at Tiffin's, and it's really, really a nice place to eat.
So Ben, when we go anywhere, likes to order either the charcuterie board or a cheese board. So when we went here, he ordered the cheese board. So it's a selection of artisanal cheeses, and they change based on availability. And it came with I'm trying to see if I can figure out what it. So there was a smoky blue cheese. There was a cheese called San Andreas. It's a sheep's milk cheese. There was a cremant, which is a pasteurized, aged cow and goat's milk cheese. There is something called the Griffin, which is a cow's milk cheese, and the Sea Hive. And the Sea Hive is made from the milk of Jersey cows. And I just lost it. The milk of Jersey cows in northern Utah. It also came with some pistachios, a little bit of like a raspberry sauce type of thing, and a fig jam.
Yes.
Some sort of a fig jam. He loves it. He loves anytime you put cheese in front of him, he's happy.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, I love cheese boards. So, like, anytime I see a cheese board or a charcuterie board, I'm gonna get it because I gotta try the flavors. I mean, it's all about the taste buds and the flavors. And this was great. The cheeses were very, very tasty. I never used to like blue cheese until we went to Tiffin's and we tried the blue cheese here. And now I think it's great. And once again, it was just as good when I got it this time. And pairing it with the pistachios was incredible. So if you get a chance, you should definitely try Tiffin's. It's probably one of the most underrated restaurants, I think, as far as like experience-wise. It's phenomenal.
Okay, so one of the things we're having a hard time finding a description for is my appetizer I got was the corn chowder. I like chowder. I don't generally order at places because I can tend to be really picky about it. But I had tried some of the other things on the menu, and I hadn't tried this. So I decided to give this a try. Oh, it was so good. It was a corn chowder, and it had candied bacon, and I don't even know what else was in it, but it was amazing. And it's since been removed from the menu. I don't know if it's a seasonal thing, because it's been replaced with a pumpkin soup right now, which I probably actually would have gotten that as well. But the corn chowder, it was so good. It wasn't a huge portion, which was nice because I still had room to eat my dinner, which was a big problem on this trip because we didn't do a lot of that. We didn't have a lot of room. So without having a description to go by, it was corn chowder, but it was a level above any other that I've ever had. It was excellent. It was, I'm guessing, somewhere around $14, which is what the pumpkin soup goes for. Ben's cheese board was $16, if you were to pay out of pocket. So then we moved on to entrees. Now, they have recently at Tiffin's changed their definition of surf and turf. I don't know if it's based on availability of ingredients or what, but it used to be a Wagyu beef tenderloin and a lobster tail. It no longer is that. It is now and Ben ordered it, it is now a South African spiced beef tenderloin, seared scallops, potato pave, grilled vegetables, maitake mushrooms, dania butter, and a cola demi-glace. It looked outstanding. The steak looked perfect. The scallops looked amazing. And this is usually my go-to, but I was protesting the lack of lobster tail and decided not to get it. But it looked amazing.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons I got it is because whenever we go to Disney, my wife always tells me that you never eat fish. You never eat fish. You tell me you like fish, but you never eat fish.
You don't like fish.
So
you can tell these people all you want that you like fish, but you don't.
So what it was me. I was decided that I was going to get this because I was going to show her that I will eat scallops. I will eat fish.
No, you don't eat fish. You eat scallops.
So I got it, and it was absolutely amazing. The scallops were cooked perfect. They weren't rubbery. They were just nice and tender. It was very well done. The steak was cooked again. Like I love going to Disney because they cook steak perfect, and I can't argue with it. It was, I ordered it medium. It came out medium. It was beautiful.
So I got, I jumped off of my seafood wagon, and I got the tamarind braised short ribs. And I will say that I jumped off the seafood wagon because my only choices for seafood at Tiffin's are a whole fried sustainable fish. I don't generally like fried fish, and I don't want anything with the head still on. That's just a weird little thing I got going on. And then shrimp and grits, and I'm not a huge grit fan. Ben loves them. I don't so much. So I went with the tamarind braised short ribs. They were $51 if you were paying out of pocket. Ben's surf and turf was $65.
Worth it.
Now, before I get into my short ribs, let me just say, Disney offers a package. If you are not on the dining plan, they call it the Rivers of Light package, and it is available at either Tiffin's or Tusker House. Tusker House is a buffet with characters. If you have children, this is where you should be. It is, I believe, for the Tiffin's one, it was $77 when we did it. We did it several years ago. And you basically get an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert, and premium seating at their nighttime show. It is, so you get to basically, you sit like in a great section right towards the front at their nighttime show. So the surf and turf is $65. If you then add in a drink, an appetizer, and a dessert, you are well ahead of them, of Disney in there, by getting that package. So if you want to try Tiffin's and you want to do it where you're not spending as much money as you normally would, I highly recommend you get the Rivers of Light dining package. That's not to say that price hasn't gone up, but I can't imagine it has gone up spectacularly enough to make it not worth it anymore. Like I said, it was like $75 or $77 when we did it. And just with the surf and turf, you would almost be at that price. So it's definitely worth it. So anyway, my tamarind braised short ribs came with a parsnip potato puree, cauliflower, cipollini onions, and a medjool date vinaigrette. This was very good. I don't generally like sauces on my steaks, but this one was actually pretty decent. It was more of like a barbecue type sauce. It was very good. My steak was perfect. The only thing I didn't love on this was the cauliflower. It was a little undercooked, But other than that, this was a great meal. The parsnip potato puree, surprisingly to me, was probably the best part of this meal. And I didn't expect to even like it. So there's that. I would recommend it, and I would totally get it again. So our next thing was we got dessert. Dessert at Tiffin's is an experience in and of itself. So Ben got the Lion King, it's called. It's caramel mousse, chocolate brownie, and strawberry mango sauce. And there's an adorable little picture on the side of it of a scene from The Lion King with Simba, Timon, and Pumbaa where they're walking in front of the moon is imprinted on the side of this dessert, which just makes it, visually, it's just stunning. Taste-wise?
It was not that great. Have to say, I was disappointed. I was looking forward to this. This is another thing that we had watched a year ago, and I thought it was going to be something incredible. But this one wasn't. This one looked phenomenal, tasted
Okay, so I got the Tiffin's Trio. What it is it's 3 small versions of desserts that they have. So it has the South American chocolate ganache on it, which has caramelized bananas and a cocoa nib tulle on it. Very, very good. It has a whipped cheesecake, which is amarula panna cotta, sesame crumbs, and espresso sponge. That was probably my favorite thing on here. And then it has the caramel mousse from the Lion King dessert, which I liked. It was okay. I was a little disappointed because when we had gone previous, one of the things on here is a passion fruit tapioca cream, which is absolutely outstanding, and it's no longer on this dessert, and I was really sad. But the whipped cheesecake, outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. And I will probably, next time we go, just get a big version of that.
You ain't wrong. That was really good. I sampled.
So that was dinner at Tiffin's, and one of the things I like about Tiffin's is it's quiet. There's generally not a huge crowd in there. There is, and the reason for that is because it's not your average everyday Disney menu. People tend to flock to blander foods. And I don't know if I even mean blander, but foods they're more familiar with.
Accustomed.
Especially if you're paying out of pocket. You don't want to order a meal you're going to loathe. I like to try new things. Ben likes to try new things. So we tend to be more adventurous than most. And we constantly are questioning why more people aren't at Tiffin's. And I think that's what the reason is. People aren't very adventurous with their food. We are, so it baffles us that more people aren't eating at Tiffin's because it is just that good. We've never had bad service. The wait staff at Tiffin's knows that menu inside out and backwards. They know how to make. Our server this time made an amazing wine pairing for you.
Yes.
Suggested a wine that turned out to be phenomenal with the meal. Very, very knowledgeable. Probably on property, the most knowledgeable waitstaff we found it as far as outside of maybe Citrico's. She was very good as well. And we'll get to her later. But very, very knowledgeable waitstaff at Tiffin's.
Yeah. Both times we've gone.
Right. So Tiffin's is probably our favorite in-park restaurant. Oh, it is mine. I don't know about you, but it is my favorite in-park restaurant. It's worth every penny.
Oh, yeah, by far.
Even when we don't love everything. I mean, Ben didn't love that Lion King cheesecake or whatever, caramel mousse, but I'll tell you, the presentation on that was outstanding.
Oh, yeah. Looks alone, it was great, but then, like I said, it was
it just wasn't, I think a lot of it wasn't what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of the problem. Okay, so the next thing we did, the next morning, we went to Cape May Cafe. Now, Cape May Cafe is a character breakfast. So there again, here's our reasoning for going here. It is at the Beach Club Resort, which is over in the boardwalk area by Epcot. And it is a buffet, and it has Minnie, Goofy, Donald, and Daisy, and they're in their beachwear attire.
Oh, Mickey was there. He just didn't come near us.
I don't think he was.
No,
I think it's Goofy and Minnie. We didn't see Minnie, did we?
Yes.
I don't remember. We were on a lot of character meals. Oh, no, we did see Minnie. I take that back. Donald we didn't see.
Yes.
We saw Daisy. Oh, we saw Donald and not Daisy. I don't know. Anyway, so this was a buffet, so we don't really have a lot to say about this other than the fact that it was one of the better buffets we've gone to. I'm generally not a big breakfast eater. I'm very picky about eggs. I don't like scrambled eggs, which tends to be the offering. Like I said before, I don't love pastries. But what I got there, they have all kinds of stuff. There's cereals, there's Mickey waffles, there's sliced ham and a selection of cheese. There's fresh fruit. There's yogurt. There's pastries. Ben was happy because there were tater tots.
Tater tots.
But what we got was excellent. The bacon was perfectly cooked, very crispy. They did have biscuits and sausage gravy, which made me very happy. The poached eggs were excellent. I had a tot. It was delicious.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. I mean, it was a buffet, and
Ben loves the tots.
The buffet was really good. I mean, you could go up there, and they had so much different variety. I mean, pastries, hams. It was just a place you could actually get a lot for your money.
I will say the best thing on this buffet was the French toast with caramel banana sauce. Wow, is all I have to say to that. I will eat pretty much anything with a banana on it. And this was outstanding. It was so good. I don't think you tried it.
No, I didn't.
Dummy, because it was so good.
I was full. I had a full platter.
And our server here was very, very good.
Yeah, she was
very nice. And I know that they're not bringing you food. However, they are still, if you think about it, people tend to tip lower at a buffet. And I don't understand why. No, they're not taking your order or bringing you food. However, how many times are you going to that buffet? And they are clearing. There's no busboys at a buffet restaurant. So they're clearing your table multiple times. They're still bringing you drinks, whether it be alcohol or regular. And if you go to the buffet 3 times, they're clearing 3 times worth of dirty dishes, which is more than most restaurants, sit-down restaurants you go to, there are busboys that do that. So when people say, oh, I only tip $2 or $3 at a buffet, that really kind of irritates me because they're probably doing just as much, if not more work. A lot of the higher end restaurants we go to, they're not even bringing the food.
No, twice.
Yeah, and they have runners that deliver the food to your table. So basically your server at a high end restaurant is taking your order and that's about it. Yep. And checking on you. And they're not clearing your table. They're not bringing your food. So the person working at the buffet is doing much more work than a server at a high-end restaurant, generally speaking. And I'm generally speaking, please don't yell at me. So Cape May Cafe, the character interaction, I honestly didn't love. It's very crowded in there. There are a lot of people. It didn't feel like there was So, for instance, at some of the others we went to, you could see the pattern. The characters would start in one spot and just make their way around the room. So you knew at some point they were going to get to you. The one at Cape May seemed very chaotic. Like they just kind of went where they wanted to go. Now, the character interactions, I don't think we ever saw Goofy. We never saw Goofy. We saw him, but he never came to us. Right. And we didn't see Daisy. Never came to us. Right. We saw Minnie and we saw Donald, both of whom the character interactions were fantastic. But if we had taken a child with us who was looking forward to that, I don't know that I would be very pleased. The food was great. The characters we saw were great. I don't think we're going to do this one again because I don't know that it would be worth it character-wise.
Yeah, I think maybe it might have been where we were seated too. We weren't seated in the center area. We were like seated off in the end.
Being a party of 2 tends to put you over in corners, which I generally like. I'm not complaining about where they sat us, or over against a wall. You're not out in the middle of the action. You're right.
So I can't really judge it from that point. I mean,
but if we had had a kid with us, we would have probably sat somewhere different, and the whole experience might have been different.
Right.
But like I said, the food was very good. Okay. And my big complaint with character meals is when the character interaction is fantastic, but the food sucks.
Yeah.
And that should never be the case because the amount of money you're paying for a character meal, you shouldn't have to trade one for the other.
No. Trade-off is not worth it.
So actually, I think I forgot to say, so the breakfast, according to the Disney website, like I said, we had the dining plan. It's a 1-credit dining plan, 1-credit restaurant. But if you were paying out of pocket, the adult price is $41 and the child price is $24. With the character experience the way that we experienced it, I don't think that's worth it.
No,
the buffet was good. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but without the characters,
right. Like I said, I'm looking at it like maybe we were sat in a place where
and that's right. And for us, we didn't really care about that.
No,
but
as a parent with a child,
that would have been disappointing. Have a different perspective.
Yeah.
So I think that had we had a child and had the same experience, we would be
Furious.
No, I don't know that we would be furious, but we would be much more likely to be negative about the experience than we are, because we liked the food and we saw a couple characters and yay for us, and we moved on with our day.
Next.
But if you had a child that was relying on seeing those characters, and that's not to be said that if we had hung around longer, we would have seen the other two characters. But we were there over an hour and only saw 2 out of the 4 characters. So I don't know. Is your kid going to sit there for, you know what I mean?
My kid wouldn't have sat there for 10 minutes.
Right. I mean, I just don't see a child sitting for 2 hours just to see characters. They're going to get bored. They're going to get cranky. And you're going to want to, and that's not the way to start a day at Disney.
No.
So the next restaurant that we did that night was Flying Fish. I was super excited about Flying Fish. Flying Fish is in the boardwalk area at Epcot. It is as you might have guessed by the name, a predominantly seafood restaurant, although they do have other things on the menu, as attested to by the fact that my husband ate those. But they are a signature restaurant, 2 dining credits. Now, before we start our review, the food here was phenomenal. The experience itself was not.
No.
And it was not, I don't want to say not the fault of the restaurant, because I feel like it could have been controlled, but it was not entirely or even mostly the fault of the restaurant. There was a very large, and by large, I think there were probably 10 of them, group of people, not even seated in the room we were in. They were in the next room over. When I tell you, they were obnoxiously loud. Loud to the point of shrieking, where other diners were consistently looking at them. There were a couple of children with them, and they weren't very young children. They were probably
12, 13.
I don't even know if they were that old, maybe 10.
Yeah.
And one of the children got up and had gone to the restroom and came back, and the adults in the party refused to move for her, forcing her and them allowing this to happen. This is in a signature restaurant. I want to stress that. This is a very high-end, not inside a theme park restaurant. It tends to be a higher level of dress code, a much higher level of service, and a much better experience than you are going to find inside a park. They forced this child, and I say forced because they all refused to move for her when she came back. She climbed over them.
That was embarrassing.
I still cannot, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this fact, because we've been in crap restaurants and we've been in really fancy restaurants, and I've never seen anybody do this to their child. They forced her to climb over them, so they were sitting. The table they were at was one of those tables that was on a booth, like half of a booth, and the other half had chairs in front of it, if you know what I'm saying. And she had been sitting on the booth side, and they forced her to climb over 3 of them to get back to her seat. Her choices were climb over them or go under the table, because none of them would move for her. It was appalling. I cannot, and I am consistently shocked at the lack of class and manners that people will show at a Disney restaurant versus a regular restaurant, because I don't know if it's because they're at Disney that they think none of the rules apply anymore, but they were loud to the point that tables around us were getting frustrated as well. It wasn't just us. A lot of times it's me, I'm not going to lie. A lot of times I am very easily frustrated by people who I perceive as not having manners.
What? No.
But this was not just me. The people at the next table from us were super frustrated as well. Everybody in our room was looking at that table. And I just feel as though for the money that we paid, and again, we had the dining plan, but it was still our money. We still paid it. It's like paying ahead.
Now, the food, though.
But the food was great.
Yeah.
But my point is that experience sort of ruined Flying Fish for me.
Right.
The food was great. I would like to try it again, but I don't feel like the restaurant controlled the situation the way they should. And I know it's hard to say cut the crap to customers, but at some point when it is ruining the experience for the rest of the restaurant and the rest of your customers, something needed to be said, and it wasn't.
Right.
Okay. So I've had my rant, and I'm going to move on now. So this was right in my wheelhouse. I'm getting seafood all the way here. So for my appetizer, I got Prince Edward Island mussels. They're $16, and they come with fresh basil and a Chardonnay broth. And our amazing, wonderful, incredible server gave me a soup spoon because he said, and I quote, "You're gonna want to eat the broth." He was not wrong. It was outstanding. I love me some mussels. These were hands down the best mussels I've ever had in my entire life. They were they were stunning. There was like dill on top and some crusty bread that you could dip into the broth, and it was a pretty large portion for an appetizer. So good. Now, my lovely I love seafood, but I really don't husband was a little bit put out by the appetizer choices because they were predominantly seafood. There was a cheese board, but he had just had one the day before at Tiffin's, and he really wasn't feeling it. So his choices were, and I don't know why he didn't get the pork belly, because if I wasn't eating seafood, that's what I would have gotten. But I talked him into the Wisconsin burrata, and it's a cheese. It's like a mozzarella cheese, and it's inside sort of like a mozzarella skin, and it's very soft, and it came with a fall pear, Marcona almonds, and a blueberry lavender vinaigrette. It looked amazing.
It was phenomenal. Good choice by her for me because, like she said, I just wasn't feeling. I wasn't feeling the pork belly. I wasn't feeling the cheese board, and she was like, "Well, why don't you just try this?" And our server, who I must say, now she's telling you this is a high-end restaurant. I want to tell you that it really is. This was a waiter that was a food snob. Like, if you could be a food snob as a waiter, it was him. He knew everything on the menu, how good it was, what it tasted like. To the point where when I ordered my food, he knew the time when it came out, it wasn't done right.
Right. So that's into our next thing. So we ordered our entrees. So we ordered everything together, I think, because we were ready. And I think, so we had just, and when I say just, I mean, we had just finished our appetizers. And one thing that really bothers me is when I feel rushed at a meal. And when I feel like they're just trying to turn the table and they want me out of there. And that really annoys me. So we had literally just finished our apps. He hadn't even cleared our plates. And here come our entrees. But our waiter was a little bit put out. When he put them down, he said, he said to Ben, "Please check that. It came out too fast. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's cooked right because it came out too fast." That's an excellent server. When your server knows going in that your food is potentially not right, that's an excellent server.
Yeah, and many of you don't know this, but I'm an ex-cook. I've cooked most of my life, so I know medium rare, I know medium well, I know the temps, and I wanted it medium. I specifically was like, look, I want this medium, and it came out, and both me and the waiter knew it was not medium. It was more towards the medium rare side. He was right, and I got to give it to him. He was really smart.
So, moving on to our entrees, I got the sea bass, which do not appear to be on this menu. Okay, so I don't know what my sea bass. They appear to have changed the menu, and my sea bass is gone from the menu. I'm very sad. So basically, my sea bass had it looks like they've changed it to red snapper. So it's the same dish, but with red snapper as opposed to sea bass. So my sea bass was on a bed of leek fondue and a red wine reduction. Outstanding. I love sea bass. Sea bass is probably my favorite fish. I love the mild flavor. It pairs with just about anything. So good. The leek fondue, surprisingly, was amazing. When I got it, that was the one thing holding me back, and I finally said, you know what, I already know I like sea bass. I'm just going to get it. And I'm glad I did because the leek fondue was excellent. And the red wine reduction was well done. The whole thing together paired amazingly well. It was beautiful. And the presentation was outstanding. My sea bass was $65 if you had paid out of pocket. Ben, as per usual, got the Angus filet mignon with sweet onion risotto and a truffle sauce. And it also came with asparagus.
Okay, so like I said, it was supposed to be medium, come out medium rare. I will eat it because that's just a good flavor too. The risotto was creamy and delicious. It mixed well with the meat. It was just a very good filet cut. I can't say anything about it like bad, except for the fact that, I wanted it medium and it came out medium rare, but it was still delicious.
But even then, he would have taken it back and made them do it properly.
Yeah, but I'm not that guy.
And he was actually, I think, a little disappointed that he didn't get to go yell at the kitchen on your behalf.
Yes, but like I said, I used to be a cook, so I know, things happen in the kitchen, and sometimes it doesn't come out right, and you can't control it. I mean, you can, but it's just the speed of the kitchen. Sometimes you think it's done, and you put it on the plate, and then it goes out, and you kind of second guess yourself and go, I don't know if that was perfect, and human error. But so I wasn't mad. I liked it. I'll get it again if I go there. I mean, it's not something I would refuse.
And the price of his filet was $59. So on to desserts, and I'm going to tell you about mine because I want to spend a little time telling you about Ben's, because there was a little surprise with Ben's that we didn't know when he ordered it. So my dessert was called a Florida Sunset. It's $11. It's vanilla custard, lemon broth, segmented fruits, and white chocolate. I think this was my favorite dessert I had the whole week. Aside from the grapefruit cake, which was right up there, the lemon broth on this was just so unusual and so good. And I never would have occurred to me that could either be a thing or be a delicious thing. And it was both. It was just amazing. It was a beautiful dessert to begin with. It had like a white chocolate wheel on the top inside the panna cotta, and it was just the vanilla custard. And the vanilla custard was coated with sugar, and they had heated it, I'm guessing, with a creme brulee torch, a food torch, and it looked like a sunset. It was dark. It went from dark to light. It was, oh my gosh, it was so good. So Ben ordered the chocolate mint financier, and there wasn't a huge description with this dish. It basically said warm chocolate, creamy frozen mint. What they didn't tell us until after he was already eating it, I think, was the waiter happened to mention that it was not a dairy ice cream. So basically what it was it was almost like a chocolate lava cake.
Yep.
And a scoop of mint chocolate chip ice cream, a mint ice cream.
Yes.
And that was dusted with cocoa and visually very, very appealing. So, but what the waiter told us, and I don't know if it was, we just didn't notice it on the menu, but this was a vegan option.
Yep.
And he probably, had you known that, you never would have ordered it.
Oh, no.
And the ice cream was made from my husband won't eat anything, okay, except for seafood. And he does not eat avocados at all. Hates them.
Yep.
Won't even look at one.
Nope.
And he will eat just about anything else you put in front of him in any combination. And the ice cream apparently was made with avocado and not cream. And he was halfway through it before we discovered that, and he ate it because it was amazing.
It was
and
delicious.
He would have never, had you not told him, he wouldn't have noticed.
No, I would have never known, and I would have never ordered it if I had known it was avocado, because I'm a bigot when it comes to avocados. I just don't like them. But this mint ice cream made from avocados was probably one of the best ice creams I've ever had. It was really creamy and delicious, and it was awesome. I
just got a kick out of it because it literally was the one thing Ben won't eat, and that's what they gave him. So he quite enjoyed that. It was $9. Vegan options at Disney tend to be less expensive. Also, as an aside, vegan and vegetarian options in general at Disney are becoming more and more the norm rather than the exception, and they tend to be very, very good. They're not just throwing random things on a menu and calling it vegetarian. There's thought put in, there's time put in, and there's care taken with these dishes so that you get the same good experience food-wise that people who aren't vegan or vegetarian get.
Yeah, they visualize it when they make it. So the presentations for these are all awesome. Like they make it look incredible and it tastes incredible. So we're actually going to have to make this into a 2-part episode due to the length of time that we're going over each restaurant. I hope you all enjoyed our descriptions and our experience as much as we did. So please tune in next week to find out what's happening.